In a previous video, I showed how light can be used to set up a food chain under the water. While this process can help attract fish to your boat in the summertime, it's particularly effective in the wintertime when the fish's metabolism is much lower. In this video, I'm going to show how this process can be used to produce some great nighttime crappie fishing through the ice. If you're new to a lake, a good place to try is to find 15 to 20 feet of water that's surrounded by shallower water. Setting up just off one of the steeper drop-offs is a good starting point. Crappie are active all times of the day, but can be particularly active after dark. Oftentimes, they will hold tight to the bottom during the brighter daylight hours, but as the light fades, they will begin to suspend in search of nighttime eating opportunities. Like walleye, crappie can see much better at night as compared to most other freshwater fish species. So what can we do to help increase our odds of catching these fish? When fishing for crappie at night, you'll want to make sure that you have a bright light source, such as a traditional camping lantern, or better yet, an underwater light. Once you have the light set up, there are 3 distinct phases to this process. Typically, within the first 10 minutes or so, you'll begin to notice plankton gathering around the light. These plankton serve as food for smaller fish such as minnows. Within the first 20 minutes or so, these plankton should start attracting minnows. And finally, within about 30 minutes or so of this light being set up, crappie should begin to arrive. In this footage, you can see plankton darting around under the water near the light. And here we can see the minnows that start to show up a little while later. If after 40 minutes or so, no crappie show up, it may be time to try a different spot. So now that we know how to set up our lighting for fish, let's talk a little bit about the techniques used to jig these fish up. Like all fish in the cold winter water, a crappie's metabolism is much lower than it is in the summertime. This means it requires a lot less movement of the bait in order to get their attention. Furthermore, too much movement will often result in the fish not even chasing the bait. So let's take a quick look at a common technique that's used to catch crappie's attention. When fishing for crappie, it's important to remember to keep your bait above the fish. A common technique is to start the jig just below the fish and then slowly jig it up to several feet above the fish. Oftentimes, once the bait gets a foot or so above the fish, it will trigger the fish's predatory response and the fish will chase.
I'll show you how these fish chase these. So right here is my bait. I'm down below them, and I'm going to bring it up past them. And as I get it a foot or two above them, a lot of times that will trigger them, and they'll start chasing it. Now those either didn't see it, or they weren't interested.
In this next clip, you'll see just how aggressive these fish can be when they've decided that they want to chase the bait. For reference, my bait is this green mark. Pay attention just below my bait as I continue to jig the bait towards the surface.
There comes one.
Now here you can see an aggressive fish that's come into the sonar cone and just watch how aggressively he chases my bait.
Oh, he's coming after it. He's coming after it. He wants it. He wants it, and he's going to hit it. Ah, and I missed him. I feel him. They're biting really light, but he hit it.
Now, staying above the fish is key whether you're fishing in the wintertime or the summer.
Still got it.
This time, my bait is way up high in the water column.
Oh, there's one. And he came up and nailed it. I mean, he nailed it.
Now, it's important to note that not every fish is going to chase your bait. The main thing is that once crappie start showing up, that you remain persistent. Had nights where I'll start off very slow after seeing fish on my sonar, but after half an hour, 40 minutes, they start getting active and start biting. Once you've found fish, I wouldn't recommend you leave to find more fish because you're probably going to end up with the same type of bite. Just stay with it, keep at it, and eventually those fish will turn on and start feeding. Hey, if you've tried this technique, I'd be curious to know how it works for you. And if you try it for the first time after watching this video, let us know how you did in the comments.